Hello everyone. Just a quick mic test on my end. Lovely, we are working. So, hello everyone and welcome to APP Tier 2. We're here for round number 7 of this 10 race championship with some fascinating championship battles abound, both constructors and drivers. And I will take you through those right now before we get started with lap times. Just keep an eye on the map to see when people are getting onto laps. But at the moment, it is Enchiladad who leads the way after 3 wins on the trot in Tier 2. He'll be hoping to make it a 4th today. He has 85 points to JB's 75 in 2nd place. Then it's Denko on 72 and Jackalako on 67. Then it's Extrek on 58, Sumo 55, Tier also 55, and Robsu 52. And the top 10's rounded out by Trikubidayak on 49 and Cavalis on 44. And then the constructors very close as well. It is 140 to McLaren, 130 to Mercedes, and 127 to the V-Carbs, and everyone else quite a way back. So it's a 3-way battle for the constructors. It's probably a 7 or 8-way battle for the drivers still at this stage. But let's ride on board with Tier as he takes us round a lap of Mexico for round number 7. Down towards Tier 1, it's one of the longest straights on the calendar. Down the gears he goes. A little bit of a rear lockup is not going to help his case. Trying to hit those apexes. You can really cut across those corners if you're brave enough, but Tier just wanting to get a time on the board for now. He hurtles down the straight towards turn 4. Another turn that's difficult to get down the brakes for. I think Tier maybe braked even a little early there as he goes through turn 5. Now 6 and 7. Decently done from Tier, but he's certainly not using all of the track at the moment. I think this is a very conservative lap from the McLaren driver, just to get something on the board for now. Through the S's now. It's going to be flat through all of these corners this year, I think. And Tier using every last drop of his ERS down towards the stadium section. Really, really tricky part of the track, especially these corners coming up. A very tight left-hander, then a tight right-hander immediately after. And then finally the final corner. Difficult to get the power down out of here without spinning the rears, but Tier comes across the line for 14.8. That is the first lap of the day. We'll see if anyone can beat that. Well, I'm sure they will at this stage. Who's going to be next? I think it's Lawrence coming across the line, the 2-time Tier 2 champion, just 3/10 back as it stands. JB 9,000ths back as it stands. So very close so far. We've got 18 on the grid, which is lovely to see. Cavalis through the final corner. What can he do in his Williams? This is looking quite a way off, actually. 59 from Cavalis. And then Extrek immediately beats them all. And the champion goes to pole position with a 14.5. Sumo just a 10.5 behind. JB coming through. That is his teammate Robsu. 1.7 behind. A long way back. Enchilada, championship leader, all the way down in 6th. Some 6/10 off of Extrek at this stage. That is surprising from him at the moment. We've got the newbie Avenir on track as well in the Sauber. Wishing him the absolute best of luck on his APP debut as he comes through the S's now. Who's going to be next across the line, though? It's going to be the other Mercedes of Denko as the Mercedes boys chase the Constructors' Championship. Denko down in P5 at the moment. They were 37 points clear at one point in the Constructors this season, and now they are 10 points behind. So it can all change in the blink of an eye here in Tier 2. Trikubidayak goes to P5. It's still so close these times, though, out there at the moment. That's Lawrence coming into the pits, that green dot on the mini-map at the X of the final corner. But there's a few more cars coming across. The newbie Avenir a long, long way down. So hopefully that is not a competitive lap time. As Jacko comes around the final corner to start his first run. Alex G has invalidated his run. Antone's coming through just behind him. He's also got an Alpine, I think that was. Yeah, it was Scott coming through the stadium section. Last corner for the British driver. What can he do? This is looking decent from Scott. More than decent. Well, actually, it's quite a way back in the end. Ninth place for him so far. 6/10 behind. Just 200ths behind the championship leader, though. Anton goes to 11th on the mediums. I'm sure he'll come back out on the softs and set a proper lap. Alex G, does he have damage? I think he does. Yeah, he does indeed. So no front right end plate. So there's not going to be a lap from the Ukrainian on this occasion. What about Jacko? He's coming through the middle sector. Aces versus Kings. Invalidated his run he must have done. So he's giving it another go. If I could speak, that would be very good. Jackalacco, though, coming through the S's, looks like he's going to be next to set a lap, unless Avenir's going quicker. He is, but not much. This is slightly concerning if this is his true pace. He comes through the final corner, very slow on the throttle, and he comes through. It's a 1 minute 19.9. I pray he has more pace in him, because otherwise we're going to have some major issues. Well, he is, for sure. Jackalacco, though, not able to set this lap. He's actually bailed out of this one, so he's going to try and go again. Aces versus Kings, what's he doing? He's bailed out as well. He's not using any ERS on this attempt, so a lot of bailed out laps. Not many competitive laps being set. Pretty much only just over half the grid has actually set a lap on this first wave of runs. So we'll see if anyone can improve, including this man. The man from Finland, Robsu, goes to P10. He really needs to sort out his qualifying. That goes a little way to sorting it out, but he's still so far off everyone in front of him. 7/10 to Scott. And but you know he's going to be on pace in the race. He just needs to sort out that qualifying. He just cannot get the 1 lap pace down. He's been like this for a couple seasons now, if not 3 seasons. So. And he knows just as much as anyone that how important it is for him to sort that out. Primeval getting out the way for Jacko, who is on a lap. He's coming through the final sector now into the stadium section. Nicely down the gears from Jacko, the Season 10 champion. Coming through, oh, but he invalidates at the penultimate corner. I think that's going to be pit lane. It is indeed for the Scotsman. And he's going to be disappointed with that final corner invalidation. Always difficult to take. But Primeval starting another run, as is Tia. He's in Sector 2 already, but he's not improving. What about JB? He's coming to the end of Sector 1. Hello to Denko in the chat. He says, not feeling confident today, but I'll give it my all. That's all you can do, Denko. And you're up in P6 right now, so stay positive. Don't count yourself out before the race has even begun. Because that is how you go on a fast track to a bad result anyway. But JB coming through the S's, what can he do here through this middle sector? Is he flat through all of the S's? He certainly is. He has been lightning fast this season. He sits only 10 points behind the championship lead as he comes into the last few corners. He's half a tenth up, looking to get himself into the top 3. But X-Track and Sumo quite a way ahead still, unless he can find a huge amount of time in this final sector, which, to be fair, is easy to do if you mucked it up the last time. And JB across the line, it's not actually an improvement. He loses time in the final sector, and he'll be desperately disappointed with that. He remains down in 4th place. Plenty of other people on laps as well. Here comes Sumo by the looks of it. No, he's just starting a lap. That is the other Ferrari going across the line on the mini-map. Primeval's come across, though. He goes to P11. Much better from the Williams driver from the UK. Who else is coming across? That's tricky on an outlap. Enchilada, lad. He's half a second up as the championship leader, looking to take provisional pole. He comes across the line. Is it enough? It's not quite. He goes to the front row, but he remains 800ths behind the reigning champion, X-Trek. But he'll be very happy to get himself that far up. Sumo's coming through, though, as well. He's improving in Sector 1. What can he do in the middle sector, though? He's not got a lot of ERS left to spare. as he comes through. DRS open, but he's using everything he's got, and it's not a lot now. He comes into the final few corners. He's half a tenth up. Could be enough to get on the front row again, but he's going to need to really gain some time in these last few corners. He's cutting across those apexes very nicely indeed. This could be enough. There's an Aston Martin spun on the exit of the final corner. That could have been a distraction to Sumo, but he does get back onto the front row, but it's still not quite enough to beat X-Trek. It was Lawrence, funnily enough, who had spun out the final corner. Denko starting a lap as well in the other Mercedes. Scott coming through to start 1-2. We've got JB into the pits. He goes. As Drogon's still in the pits, by the way. What can Triku do across the line? This could be pole. It is! It's provisional pole for the Czech driver. He's been so close quite a few times this season, but he hasn't yet gotten his maiden pole position in APPF1. Could this be the day? What a lap from Triku Bidyack. He got his first ever podium in the league a couple of weeks ago in Qatar. And he could be looking to get his first ever pole as well. He is flying right now. X-Trek can't believe it in the chat. He is stunned that Triku has beaten him from so far back. Antone into the pits. No improvement for the Brazilian. So who's next? It's going to be, I think Sumo's not on a lap. No, he's not indeed. So who is? It's going to be Jack Alako, who's yet to set a competitive lap time. He invalidated his last one at the final corner. Is he going to do the same again? He comes through. This time he gets it right. And down towards the line he goes, uses the wide line and goes to P7. That's a lot better from Jack Alako. And he may have won race 1 of this season, but since then he hasn't really been in with a sniff of a race win. So he'll be looking to perhaps try and change that today. Scott up to P8 in the meantime, pushing Denko, Lawrence and co down. Lawrence is very close actually to the rest of the pace. He'll be very chuffed with his lap so far in this qualifying. Robsu coming through. Is there going to be an improvement from the Finn? He comes through the final corner. He's going to need 7 tenths to get himself out of P11, and a bit higher than that. He gets 6 tenths. It's not quite enough, but he's a lot closer to the pace, so we'll be happy to see that at least. We've got a few other drivers coming through. I think Ace is on an outlap right now, still yet to set a proper lap time. Avenir, I am concerned that this is actually going to be his true pace. He's so slow out of corners. Is it? I wonder if he's got like braking assist on. I think that might be what's happening, because he just seems so horribly slow out of corners. So if you're watching Avenir and you have braking assist on, goodness me, mate, turn it off. Actually, I don't think it's even enabled in these lobbies, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe steering assist? I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But because his time trials were an awful lot faster than that. So I am a bit confused by that. But we've got Tier coming through in the McLaren. Is he improving as he comes through? The British driver into Sector 2 and down through into the final sector now. He's 3 seconds down, so he's going to have to try again. Not using ERS. I should have really realised that he wasn't improving earlier. Alex G comes through Sector 1 as well. The Ukrainian still yet to set a lap, along with Aces and Drogon in this session. Aces coming through as well, just behind. So we'll see what they can do. Can they get something on the board, at least? Even if it's not as quick as they would hope, you want to get something on the board. You cannot finish a qualifying session with no lap on the board, because it just makes you wonder what might have been. As Alex comes through the middle sector, we'll stay on board with the Ferrari driver, or shall we ride on board with Cavalis? No, Cavalis is behind, so let's stick with Alex as he comes through the final sector now. 56.3 in the middle sector. I didn't catch middle sectors of other drivers to compare that to, but a little bit of a slide of the rears there through the stadium section. He comes to the line. It's another slide of the rears as he goes through. He goes to P11, just ahead of Robsu with that lap. What about Aces? Is he improving? It looks like it. Well, it's a bit difficult not to improve on nothing, but Aces coming through now, the final sector. and the final corner doesn't invalidate this time. It gets on the power properly, and that is pole position from Aces versus Kings. Last time we came to Mexico in Tier 2, this man was on pole, and he's looking to repeat that. What a lap from Aces. He loves this circuit, especially in qualifying, and he is on absolutely dismal form this season, so he will be hoping to end it today. Drogon comes through the final corner as well in his Haas. He goes to P15 with a 15.7, just splits the Williams drivers for now. But that is a huge lap from Aces versus Kings. Primeval's improving as well in the Williams as he comes into the final sector. He's 3/10 up, looking to beat his teammate here, perhaps to P14, but I think Robsu might be out of reach. He comes through the final few corners. Can anyone beat Aces? That is the question now. As Primeval through the final corner, it's not going to be him, but can he beat his teammate? He can, and he was very close to Robsu in the end. He gained a lot of time in that final sector, but couldn't quite eclipse the Finn, but he'll be happy with that lap, I think, at least. Antone also on an out lap. He's also underperforming at the moment today, is the Brazilian, down in 17th. As who's coming through? It's going to be Tier, but he's invalidated. So a lot of drivers on outlaps. We'll have to stay with all of them as there's a big train developing in the final sector. They've got to be careful here because there's going to be some interesting interactions with Slipstream if they're not careful. Denko's going to get plenty, but could he catch too far up towards JB? And it could be the same problem for the car behind. That's Scott, but he's a little further behind. He should be just about fine, but Denko could be in trouble. He's very close to JB, and he's going to pick up quite a bit of dirty air, I expect, through the corners here. JB coming through. Is he improving? He's been absolutely on top form this season, and he is. Another 10th and a half. He's gotten out of Sector 1. Did Denko improve? Didn't quite catch it, but we'll stay with these three as they come through. They're going to be the first of these final runs to complete their laps. Tier is retired in the pit lane, so nothing more from him this session. Ace is into the pits as well, so that lap will stand. A 14.229 is the time to beat for all of these drivers out on track. Teammate ahead. He's a 10th and a half up still in the middle sector. Denko is not improving, neither is Scott. Scott's going to have to try and go again, I think. He's got plenty of ERS, so he can do it. But JB coming to the final corner. Can he improve? Remember, he lost time in the final sector on his previous effort. Can he gain it this time? Yes, he can. He goes to 4th place onto the 2nd row. That's a lot better from JB. Pushes Enchilada down to 7th. He needs a big improvement, does the championship leader, if he wants to get himself higher than that. Scott just starting his final run. Denko into the pits. No improvement for him. He could be outside the top 10 here. Exterek takes it just about by half a tenth, and Sumo beats Aces as well by 1,000th of a second, but he's still just a little bit too far off of Exterek. What can Triku do? He is not improving, so nothing from the Czech driver. The wait for his first pole position goes on. JB on an in-lap, so he's not improving. Enchilada coming through. Jackalacco not really improving through the middle sector. Can he find anything here through the final corner? He uses everything he's got, and he does find an improvement, but he stays P8. What about his teammate? Into the pits comes the two-time champion Lawrence. What about Enchilada? Through the final corner comes the championship leader. I don't think it's going to be enough for pole. It's not even enough to improve. He stays P7. What can Scott do? He's 2/10 down in the middle sector, so I don't think he's going to cause a stir. What about Robsu? This could be big from the Finn, but he invalidates out the final corner. He just tried to get the power down too much. He was 2/10 up in the middle sector, so he'll be absolutely gutted with that. Scott comes into the pits, and I think that is going to be that for this qualifying session, because Drogon has invalidated. But wow, very, very exciting qualifying here in Mexico. But it is the defending champion, Exterek, who is on the back foot this season. But he takes pole position by just under half a tenth of a second from Sumo and Aces. And you have to think, if Aces had found a lap sooner in this session, he could easily have improved it and found pole position as well. But in the end, he ends up 3rd place. But he'll still be decently pleased with his effort to get up there on a track he really enjoys. So it is Extra on pole position with Sumo just alongside on the front row. What a qualifying that was. Aces versus Kings goes to P3, and he'll be desperately hoping for a race to turn his fortunes around this season. Triku Bidayak, P4 for him as well, with JB in the top 5 too, lurking around. Tier in P6, Enchilada down in 7th. So he's going to have to fight his way up. Jackalacco in 8th. Then it's Scott Denko down in 10th. Lawrence in P11. He'll be delighted with that. Alex G, Robsu, Anton, Drogon, Primeval Cavalis, and our newbie Avenir in the rest of the positions of the grid. So there will be no formation lap, just a reminder, so we will be straight into it as soon as the camera changes to the grid. So get yourselves ready for what is going to be a breakneck race in Tier 2, I'm sure. It's going to be very interesting to watch. And here we go. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's a great start. It's a terrible start for Aces. Oh no, he's all the way down to P6. It could be worse for him. It is P7 for Aces as he tumbles down the grid. There's someone in the grass on the side there as they all turtle down towards turn 1. Nearly 4 wide. It is 4 wide through turn 1. Incredible stuff as Aces down to 10th place, and could be even worse for him as they continue to go down. Looks like everyone's gotten through just about okay for now, but goodness me, terrible start for Aces versus Kings. That is the exact opposite of what he needed. He's down to P7, big snap of the rears as well, down to P9 as well, but it's Extrac who still leads from Sumo into turn 1. Denko also all the way down to 14th. Disastrous start for him. Most of the grid starting on mediums, only the Williams 2 starting on the hards for this race as Aces loses yet another place. Let's put places gained on the board. It is down 7 for Aces, down 4 for Denko. Disastrous starts for both of them as Aces and Anton have a little battle through the stadium section. Aces nearly into the back of his teammate, but a lovely move to get himself back past the Red Bull. That's more misery for Denko. He's down to last place now. I'm not sure what's happened to the Mercedes driver, but he's all the way down in last place, and he's got a lot of work to do now. He'll be gutted with how this has started. Pretty much everyone else either gaining 1 place or staying put, but Anton up 4. Brilliant start for the Brazilian. He's looking to make it 5 as he goes down the inside of Aces. That could have been very bad. Robsu just about backs out before Anton cuts him off as well. Anton certainly looking to be quite aggressive on this race start so far. But Robsu under attack from Lawrence on the inside there, who has to yield as well. But a chaotic start to this Grand Prix so far. Denko now has caught back up to the rearwards train as Avenir loses the rear, unfortunately, in his Sauber, and loses that place as well. But Denko, an awful lot of work to do. You have to think he's going to need a safety car really now already. As Triku, oh, what's happened to Triku Bidayak? There's a wing flying off. I'm not sure whose it was. It certainly wasn't the Haas driver. I'm trying to see. We've got a VSC, so we've got a chance to slow things down and take a look and see if we can find out what happened. It's Tier. It was Tier who's lost the front wing end plate. Into the pits he goes. And that is not good for McLaren's Constructors title hopes. V-Carb in a decent position right now with JB in the top 3 and Robsu back into 9th place as well. There's Scott Cavalis and Denko all into the pits as well. Wow, are they taking advantage of the VSC, or did they all have damage as well? I'm not sure, but absolute chaos to start off this Grand Prix. DRS enabled as we have green flags once again. It's Extract who still leads, but Sumo and JB staying with him, as well as the championship leader Enchilada Lad. He is very much in this still, with Jack Alako just behind. Triku Badayak losing time, and he is now out of DRS range, is the Czech driver. He's going to be under attack from Aces now in the Alpine as they go through the S section. Triku a little bit wide there for the first of those S corners. And here comes Aces. He's using the ERS. He's going to try and get past into Sector 3. And he does exactly that down the inside. It's done before the braking zone. He's a little wide on the exit, but he just about gets it done. I don't know how Triku will feel about Aces being wide, but Aces has left himself extremely vulnerable here to the DRS down to turn 1. I think he may end up severely regretting that overtake, because now Triku and Anton and Robsu are all going to have DRS behind him. Here comes the Brazilian in the Red Bull. He goes down the inside of the Haas, and it's going to be Aces next up. Look at the closing speed as they head towards the first corner. Here comes Anton on the outside. Aces shows him the door and slams it shut. Very nicely done from Aces. Great defending from the Alpine driver. But Anton's going to be back at him on the run to turn 4. He's got the DRS again. He's using ERS once again as well. He looks to the outside this time. Tries again, shows him the door. And Anton has to yield in the end. Good defending from Aces, but he's 2 seconds behind the front 5 now. And so he's got an awful lot of work to do as Robsu gets past Anton. I think that was a mistake from the Red Bull through turn 7 there. And he has paid the price. Jack Alako, the first of that front pack to get a track limits penalty. Anton pushing Robsu through the S's there as we were looking on. Enchilada right behind JB as well, who's losing track to the top 2. Sumo's taken the lead while we weren't watching, as Lawrence plummets down the field, down to P11. Not sure what's happened there, but there's plenty of contact going on in this early phase of the race. It's not ideal. It's not what you want to see, but it certainly is entertaining for you lot in the chat, I'm sure. As Sumo now, he sets the fastest lap, but he gets overtaken by Extrek down to turn 1 once more. They swap places. It's Enchilada gets past JB as well with the DRS and looks to try and stay with the top 2 as well. JB will hope to slingshot himself up to them as Robsu on the inside of Anton. That could have been nasty as well. They just about get away with it. Robsu with the switchback out of turn 3, but that's surely not going to work. He hasn't got the ERS to really make any sort of move there, but it's a beautiful reprieve for Aces. He may be 2 seconds behind the front pack, but he's 2.5 ahead of the drivers behind now as well. 3 seconds as Triku slows everyone down. So Aces will be decently happy with how that lap progressed, because he was looking in a lot of danger at the start of this lap. But he's somehow gotten it all together, and all the other drivers behind have lost a ton of time. So he is in his own world now, in no man's land. It's the perfect place for Aces with his form this season. He just needs a race where nothing happens. That's all he needs. As Prime Evil looking to the inside of Lawrence there, but has to back out, as does Alex G in the Ferrari. And talking of Ferrari, here's Sumo on the back of Extrek. Is he going to make a move? He is indeed. He looks to the inside of the Mercedes, and Sumo takes the lead. He has yet to win a race in Tier 2. Could this be the day, I wonder? Enchilada and Extrek are going to be right there with him to try and stop him. Jack Alako and JB as well in the mix, but JB seems to be lacking in race pace compared to all these other guys, as Triku is round in the Haas, unfortunately. Down to P12 he goes. Alex into the pit lane. So there's been some contact, I think, or maybe he's getting an undercut, I'm not sure. But he is all the way down to 15th. Actually 16th as Cavalis gets him on the pit straight. But Drogon, Tricky Budayak all the way down to 12th. Not the best race for him so far either. Let's put tyres on the screen. Robsu, the next victim of track limits. There'll be plenty of those today, trust me. Not quite as many as Canada last week, but there'll still be plenty of these track limits penalties here in Mexico. But it is Sumo who leads from the reigning 2-time champion And then the championship leader, the two drivers you probably least want to have behind you. Actually, the three drivers, because Jack Alaco's a two-time champion as well of Tier 2. Or, sorry, a one-time champion in Season 10. But he's been passed by JB, and Sumo has been passed by Extrac. Another swap for the top two. They're having a very calm race so far, our Sumo and Extrac. Sticking with each other, not letting each other go. And just using the DRS to good effect to swap places and keep things calm for now. JB and Jacko losing touch to the top three. 2 seconds behind they are now. They just don't seem to quite have the pace of those three. And they don't seem to quite have the pace of this man either. Aces versus Kings in the Alpine. He's up to just under 2 seconds. Well, he lost 3/10 through that corner. But he is slowly reeling them in as they lose time to the front guys. So they've got to watch out for him. Oh, he does get a time penalty, though, unfortunately, as we were watching him. But, yeah, we saw his pace in qualifying. We know he has pace around here. Can he unlock it now and set his sights on the drivers ahead? He doesn't have to worry about Anton. He's 4 seconds ahead of him. As Sumo, oh, what's happened to the Ferrari driver? Sumo has had a moment out of the final corner by the looks of things, and they are in real danger of losing touch with Extract now, although Ench is going to have the DRS, so he should be able to stay within that 1 second range, but it's going to be an uphill struggle. 6/10 behind. He's got to be very careful. That is a penalty for Denko as well. Goodness me, that's all he needed, and that's all he needed. Aces versus Kings. It's all gone wrong. I'm not sure where it happened. I think he probably made a mistake in the same place that Sumo did, as Anton and Robsu go flying to the left on a right-hand corner. That's not where you want to go. I think they just tangled wheels as they went through, but Robsu and Anton losing a ton of positions. But Aces, again, has been drawn back into this pack after all is said and done. He was 4 seconds clear, but he's made a mistake. He just cannot seem to stop making them this season. It's just not happening for him, and he desperately needs, like I said, a race where just nothing happens, and it just doesn't seem to be working out for him. And now he's going to get mugged on the straight by none other than two-time Tier 2 champion Lawrence, who's in P7 at the moment and leading this train, well, until Aces dropped back into it anyway, as Primeval, oh my goodness, sends it down the inside of Anton, and there's contact inevitably with a move like that. And they both lose a ton of time. I think they might still have the DRS, but it will be close. The two Hasses swapping as well further back, as Jacko and JB swapping towards the front. Enchilada has stayed with Extract, but look who hasn't. Sumo Gilligan has lost more time, and he's down 1.1 seconds to the McLaren now. It could be a top 2 race at this rate, as Anton again down the inside of turn 1, and Primeval just goes straight into the back of him. He will probably claim he was brake checked, but it doesn't look like it to me, as Lawrence goes ahead of Aces. Wow, Lawrence into P6 in this race. What a race he is having. I'm not going to mention him too much. I don't want to curse him, but Anton losing the rear there, and that's going to lose Robsu more time, who's gotten past Primeval in the meantime. And wow, it is all kicking off this race. It is absolute chaos up and down the grid. It's not what I want to see as an admin. I'm sure it's what you guys want to see in the chat. It must be very entertaining for a neutral. I wish I could say I was a neutral in terms of not wanting to see carnage. Unfortunately, I'm not. But Aces now sticking with Lawrence. He's gapped Anton, and given the amount of contact that Anton has had with people today, that's probably good for the Alpine driver. It's going to be Robsu who's going to be next to try and get past that Red Bull. JB and Jacko swapping once again as they settle into a race of their own. Enchilada and Extract sticking with each other as well, with Sumo 1.5 behind. Robsu getting past Anton. He does make it work. Anton trying to get him on the exit with a better traction, but he can't quite do it. Robsu up to P8, but he's got to work hard to try and gap this Brazilian, because Anton is out for blood today. He is sending it down people's insides. To be fair, so is Primeval, so you know, Robsu could do worse than to gap both of them at this stage in the race, but I think that's going to be quite the task for the Finn. even with his very good race pace, as we are very familiar with here in Tier 2, any regular watchers. Tier now with a penalty at the back of the grid as well. It's been such an absolute disastrous race for the likes of Denko and Tier. It's not what they wanted at all. And they sit at the back of the grid with time penalties, and they desperately need a safety car, but it just doesn't seem to be coming. As Sumo, probably a very sensible decision from the Ferrari driver, comes in for an undercut. He's going to have to hope that he doesn't come out, he comes out in clean air though, because if he's right behind another driver, he's going to struggle to make that undercut really work. The two Hasses are hurtling down the straight. Here's the Ferrari. He is not far behind them, so he's going to have to hope they pit soon, because otherwise he's going to be in big trouble with them. Antone gets ahead of Robsu. Meanwhile, the Finnish driver trying to get him again on the exit of turn 3 is not going to have the DRS though, and he's going to have to sit back and watch as Prime Evil now sends it round his outside. Surely Robsu yields here. He doesn't. He sticks it on the inside. Prime Evil though just about gets his way through. It's a good overtake from the Williams driver, to be fair to him, and Robsu back down to P9 now. Jacko has fallen back 5 seconds to the top 2, as has JB just behind him. While Extrek and Enchiladadad continue to stay very much with each other, although Extrek has so much ERS to spare, but so does Enchilada as he comes into the pits to respond to Sumo's undercut. Extrek staying out. He's confident in his pace, and why shouldn't he be? But could he regret not coming in for that undercut? Here comes Sumo now. He hasn't caught up to the Hasses, so he hasn't been a detractor from them with staying too close to them and losing time. But he comes through the final corner, 1.5 seconds behind. He is going to catch up to them very soon. Where's Enchilada? He's coming out the pit lane, and Sumo is right there. He can see him just in the distance, but I don't think he's close enough for DRS. He hasn't quite gained enough time with the undercut. He was about 1.5 seconds behind when he came into the pits. He's gained maybe 0.3, but it's not quite enough. Enchilada won't have DRS, but he's certainly going to go for the overtake here on Triku Bidyak. Does the Haas make it difficult? Triku does make it a little difficult, but he doesn't really fight too hard in the end, and Sumo is going to have to try and do the same thing to that Haas, because otherwise he's going to end up in a sticky situation here if he wants to catch up back with Enchiladadad. Extract coming through the last few corners. Does he respond now to the double undercut from the drivers behind him? He's not coming in. No, he stays out, does Extract. He is not interested in responding. He is driving his own race with his own strategy. No undercuts for him. And he stays out another lap, as do Jacko and JB. Well, why not? There's no one really in their vicinity. 7.5 to Aces, and obviously Sumo and Ench are about 5 seconds ahead. And talking of Sumo and Ench, Sumo has gotten past Triku, and he's in DRS range of Enchiladadad. He has done what he wanted to do, but can he stay there? Because there's another Haas for him to clear, and that is Drogon this time. Triku, adds to his woes with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's a real shame for him as Sumo comes through turn 1 just behind Drogon. Can he clear this Haas quickly to try and stay with Enchiladadad? That is going to be the key. That's Lawrence and Aces having a lovely little battle through turn 4. Aces very deep on the exit, but Lawrence can't quite capitalize. I think he lost the rear slightly there as he tried to get the traction down. So he stays down in 5th place, but he is flying at the moment, is Lawrence. And this could be, at the moment, his best race since going to switching to the wheel from controller. And I hope he can manage it, as Enchilada's going to lose a ton of time here to Robsu, and Sumo is going to be able to reel him in slightly, but he's still got the V-carb ahead. That is a spun Haas. That's Drogon at the S's has gone round, unfortunately for him. But Sumo now, he's got to clear this V-carb, and, well, deja vu for the 3rd time for Sumo, I think. Got to clear this car, but Robsu comes in and makes his life easy. So Sumo is going to have the DRS down the straight, but so is Enchiladadad, and it's still 1.4 seconds is the gap. It's teetering on a knife edge, this little battle between these two. Extrek has still stayed out. He's going to have much better tyres at the end, but you have to think he's going to lose time to these undercuts. How much is the question, though? as Robsu also exiting the pit lane on those hard tyres. Where's Antone? That's the crucial thing. He's just coming out just behind him. Here comes the Brazilian. I think Robsu's going to be mugged here. He is indeed. Antone gets out just ahead of him. And Robsu, no, he sends it to the inside. Risky move from Robsu, but he just about gets away with it. Antone saw him coming, and these two's duel continues as Robsu now doesn't have the DRS, but he uses plenty of VRS. Antone squeezes him nearly onto the grass as they go down towards turn 4. Turn 5, it's still the inside line for Robsu, but oh my goodness me, Robsu, that was very close to disaster. He just about gets away with it, though, as Sumo clears the Williams of Primeval, but it's too late. He's 1.9 seconds behind Enchiladadad. The McLaren just more efficient at clearing the slower cars than Sumo has been, and he gets past Lawrence as well, sets the fastest lap, as the Aston Martin driver made a mistake out the final corner. He's going to have the DRS to get him back, though, and Lawrence could be inadvertently helping Sumo here as he goes round the outside and gets back ahead of the McLaren driver. Ench going to try and get the better exit, but look how much time he lost through turn 1 there. He didn't get the best exit at all thanks to the Aston Martin ahead, and Sumo is catching, but not enough. Enchilada tries to get back at him, but the DRS is too much. Lawrence stays ahead, and Ench is nearly out of VRS as well in that McLaren. So this is Sumo's chance. If he's going to catch back up, this is when he's going to have to do it. Lawrence really helping him out here. I'm not sure if this is purposeful or not, but I'm sure it's not. Lawrence just trying to race his own race and stay ahead of Ench for now, because he knows his real races with aces and his penalty. But here comes the McLaren now. He's going to make the overtake into the stadium section, but he could regret it, because Lawrence is going to have the DRS again into turn 1. Is Ench going to get the DRS from aces? That's the question. He went wide at that corner to try and get as much exit speed as possible, but he wasn't close enough. No DRS for Enchiladadad, and Lawrence has done Sumo a huge favour there, purposefully or not. Look how far behind Extrek's going to come out. He's just coming out the pit lane now. There goes Sumo. And Extrek is going to be several seconds behind them. Wow, huge undercut from the other drivers, but can Extrek catch back up? Of course he can. Of course he can. He's Extrek. Surely he can catch up 3 seconds, you would think. As JB and Jacko swap again, we've got yellow flags. I think that's for Triku Bidayak, who's lost a front left end plate, unfortunately, on that front wing. And that's going to be a pit stop to repair, unfortunately for him. 2 laps after pitting, that is gutting for Triku after such a good qualifying as well. And Extrek is getting stuck behind Primeval here a little bit. He's got to be patient, though. He knows he can clear this Williams. He's going to try and clear him. No, he backs out of that one, sensibly so. But he is clearly getting a little frustrated sitting behind this Williams already. It's only been a lap, but he's surely going to get him here. Aces loses the place to Enchiladadad in the meantime, who retakes the lead of this race. Sumo right behind. He needs to clear that Alpine as well. Aces still yet to pit in this race, and he's taken him out. Oh no! Aces has gone round in the stadium section, and that is going to be a few seconds that he loses. Lawrence is into the pits, so is Aces. They're both in. And Extrek is now just out of range of Sumo, but Enchiladadad is looking in a fantastic position to win his 4th race in a row. Although Extrek and Sumo, I'm sure, are going to hunt him down. Lawrence and Aces heading out the pit lane now. And they're going to be well behind even the likes of Scott. They could even be behind Robsu. They are behind Robsu. Wow. And Antone as well gets past both of them. So they've both lost a ton of time there, Lawrence and Aces. Lawrence made his mistake, but Aces had his contact with Sumo, which I'm sure is going to end up in the stewards. And Sumo, well, he may be ahead of Extrek now, but that is going to certainly be lingering in his head, that little bit of contact. He will be frustrated because it was not like he was trying to take him out or anything, or I don't think he was even being particularly reckless. It just got caught out by Aces being slower through the corner than he was expecting, and he was trying to stay with Ench. And it just culminated in disaster, unfortunately, as that's Avenir going round at the exit of turn 1 further back. How's Denko doing, says someone in the chat. He is P13 right now, so he's in the points, but what's his penalty situation? He's only got 3 seconds, so he should be able to pick up a few points from this race, but not too many, although it is good news for the Mercedes team that Tier is all the way down in 17th, because that is going to be a lot of points lost for McLaren potentially. Extrek gets ahead of Sumo, meanwhile, into turn 1 with the DRS. Not much that Sumo can do about that one, and Extrek now is going to chase after Enchiladadad as we hit the halfway mark. Anton is retired in the pit lane, which I think is going to be very annoying to this man. Robsu's going to be very annoyed by that, because Anton has cost him so much time in this race. At least that's how he will feel. Yeah, he'll be more than a bit frustrated to see Anton retiring in the pit lane, or maybe he'll be relieved, who knows. But he is sitting in P8 at the moment. It's a net P9. He does have a penalty, so Lawrence would eclipse him at this stage. But he continues to go through. Remember, Primeval and Scott yet to pit. Well, Scott has pitted. He pitted very early on. But can he get those hards to the end? That is quite the stint. So I'm not sure. Even if he does try it, I think these three will easily get past him. So Lawrence still in a good position. That is another penalty to Denko, unfortunately. 6 seconds to him as Extrek now sets the fastest lap as he charges after that McLaren. 1.1 seconds is the gap now. That has come down by 0.6 in 1 lap. So Extrek is absolutely flying right now here in Mexico. Jacalaco getting past JB. That is a spun Ferrari. It's Alex G in the middle, in the final sector. And no front right end plate. That is probably going to be a front left end plate as well. It is indeed. And into the pits he comes for a pit stop to repair. And no, not even to repair, to retire. So Alex G, still no points on the board for him in the last fair few rounds, actually. He's not having a good time of it at the moment, Alex G, as Aces continues his battle with Lawrence that's been going on all race long. It's been great to watch. He gets ahead of the Aston Martin, and Robsu will be his next target. Robsu has caught up to Scott in the meantime. He's on those 16-lap-old hard tyres. Surely no match for the VCARB driver. The VCARB's in a decent position here, but they would have hoped that JB would be further ahead than this. He is in a net P4. So it's actually not too bad. Primeval still yet to pit. Never mind. In he comes. The last driver to come in this race. Finally, in he goes. Actually, I think he did pit on lap 1. So it's his second stop of the day. But JB and Jacko now battling for P4 once again. 8 seconds behind the top 3, who have re-established themselves as Aces. Wow, sets the fastest lap. He flies after Robsu and Scott. And he'll be looking to try and get himself perhaps a top 6 finish here. I think is probably the best he can do given the current situation, unless we get a safety car. Surely Scott yields to team orders here and lets his teammate through. I don't think quite yet, because Ace is a little too far behind there out of turn 3. But I don't think Scott is going to hold up his teammate too much. Ace is very deep into turn 4. Lawrence trying to take advantage with a switchback on the exit there. Those are the racing instincts coming back for Lawrence. He's had quite a few weeks, about 6 weeks, of just getting used to the wheel, and now he's starting to find his racing instincts again, and finding that brilliant racecraft that has gotten him to 2 Tier 2 titles. Primeval getting past Drogon, who has binned it again in the S section for the second time today. Unfortunately, he is down to 12th place, and Denko gets ahead of him as Extrek takes the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Sumo flies down the inside of Enchiladadad, but he can't quite make the move, and that is going to cost them a huge amount of time on the exit of turn 3, and Extrek knows it. He's now going to try and fly his way further up. Sumo trying to get past Enchilada again into turn 4, and this could lose them both the race. Sumo, he hasn't learned from Baku last season, where he gave it everything to try and get past Cavalis, and sorry, not Cavalis, it was Robsu, and just completely forgot about the race leader Extrek, and it lost both of them a chance to win the race. Could he be doing the same thing again? It's looking like it. Extrek has got plenty to spend in the ERS department, and Sumo is 1.1 behind. I don't think he's going to get the DRS. What's happening here? It's Lawrence. Oh no, it's Lawrence. He's gone round in the middle sector, just on the exit of turn 4. He's lost a front left end plate as well. Oh no, Lawrence, that's so undeserved. He was having such a good race, but unfortunately that has come unstuck. And now Aces is going to be free to go after Robsu, which he is doing with aplomb at the moment, and charging after that 6th place finish, which I think is going to be the best he can do today, although very deep again into that left-hander has cost him DRS. JB and Jacko swapping again further ahead, and Sumo 1.3 behind Extrac. And I think he's done it again. I think he's done it again. He has not learned from Baku. Sumo, what are you doing? I don't understand why you would overtake Enchiladad there. Just stay behind him. He's just... You know, I get it. Racers want to overtake. You see a car ahead, you know they can be overtaken, and you want to get past, but you've got to think of the big picture. I think he has just ruined his own chances of winning this race, just like Baku last season. And, well, he's probably ruined Enchilada's chance of winning the race as well, because Extrac is now free and clear, 2 seconds ahead. Unless we get a safety car, I cannot see him losing this race. Tier getting past Avenir further back for 14th. He's back into the points, is the McLaren driver at least. And it's currently looking pretty good for VCarb. Enchilada getting past Sumo, by the way, into P2, which further underlines the question of what was the point of overtaking him a few laps ago, Sumo. But Jacko gets past JB into 4th place, meanwhile. Another swap between those two. They've had a lovely battle all race long. And Aces and Robsu's battle is just beginning. Down the inside goes Aces, but Robsu trying to stay with him, but the move is done before the braking zone, although Aces, as he has done many times today already, goes extremely deep into the corner, and Robsu with a beautiful run out of turn 3, but it's not quite enough thanks to the DRS on the Alpine. So Robsu's just going to have to work hard to stay with Aces, who's been so fast in this race on pure pace, but just the consistency hasn't been there. Lawrence has come out in fresh mediums in 13th, but 9 seconds down on Cavaliers. I think he should catch that, but Denko's definitely going to be a step too far. So a shame for Lawrence today, but you know, Lawrence, if you're listening, I know you are, after the fact, don't be disheartened, because you have had a brilliant race until that point. So take this as a huge amount of encouragement, and especially I think what really underlined the improvement was the attempted moves that you were making, because haven't been seeing really attempted moves from Lawrence the last 6 weeks or so, because he's just been letting people through, not fighting too hard because he just wants to get used to the wheel. But today he came out with both fists, really trying to get some brilliant overtakes done, and he did make some good moves. So he can leave this race with his head held high, even if he hasn't gotten the best finish of the season that he would have wanted. Still time for a safety car, though. We've got 12.5 laps left to go. Extract leads by 3 seconds. He is gone. He is going to win this race unless we have any more drama towards the end. But, well, just like it was going to be in Qatar before it all went wrong, it was Sumo, Enchilada and Extract battling it out for the win today. But in the end, I think it is Sumo who has secured Extract's win. The Norwegian was already in the best spot. He has had the best pace today of the three, and he's had the best consistency as well. But his win was far from guaranteed in this race. And, well, now it pretty much is. JB, though, sticking with Jacko. And, well, Enchilada, it's actually fairly important for him. He may not get his 4th win in a row, but it is important for him to stay with Sumo and try and get P2, because he knows he may be a long way ahead of Extrek in the standings at the moment, but he knows that if there's any driver on this grid who can catch that gap, it is going to be Extrek for points in these last 4 rounds. So he is going to want to damage control as much as possible when he doesn't win a race and Extrek finishes ahead. And, well, it's exactly what he's trying to do, but Sumo seems to be the faster driver at the moment. He also seems to be the most mistake-prone today, although having said that, that's a big mistake from Enchiladadad. It's cost him half a second. I think it's cost him DRS. Let's have a look at that rear wing. Does it open? It should open around about now. And no DRS for Ench. He did lose it with that mistake. And so Sumo now in a great position to try and secure P2. Extrek could gain himself 6 points on Enchiladadad in this race if it finishes like this. And that is going to be even more of a problem for Enchiladadad. A 3-second time penalty. The first of the top 3 to get one for track limits. And, well, that is likely his race run. But these two have definitely not had their race run yet. JB still with Jackalacko. They're still battling it out, although that penalty for Jacko is going to be costly for him. That's Denko, who's gone round at the final corner further back. He's still in 11th place, but he's going to lose a ton of time to Cavalis, who is now within 5 seconds of the Mercedes driver. 6 seconds of penalties for Denko, and he's on 23-lap-old hard tyres as well, which he's going to try and take to the end. I'm not sure that's going to happen, and Cavalis now looking at a 11th place finish instead of the 12th that it was looking like. Robsu now with another penalty as well. Is that his second? It is. 6 seconds to Robsu. I'm going to keep penalties on the screen for a while because they're starting to become fairly important as the race runs. Still just under 1/3 of this race to go. It feels like we should be nearing the end. It's just because the pit stops became so early, I think, as JB around the outside of Jacko. Jacko, tries to get better exit out of turn 2, but hits the back of the V-carb. I think they've both gotten away with it, though, and the battle resumes. Sticking with Aces. He's doing a brilliant job, although those 6 seconds of penalties could end up being costly. Aces 14 seconds between him and the top 5. He's going to need a disaster or a safety car or both to get any higher than 6th, but I think the way this race has gone for Aces, I think he'll be perfectly happy with just taking 6th place with no safety car. The last thing he wants is more chaos, I think, in this race. He just wants to run it home now, and that's exactly what he's doing at the moment. Denko did come into the pit lane. He is now onto the medium tyres to the end of this one. He's come out just behind Triku, so he's in 15th place. So still in the points. He'll still get a point from this race. He's right behind his teammate. Look at that. He's just been lapped by Extrek. As they go through Sector 1, Jacko and JB swapping once again. Very calm racing between those two. They've been locked together all race long. And, well, at the moment it is no different. And in fact, JB is in a precarious situation here because Enchiladadad, well, it's Enchilada who's in the precarious position as Primeval gets past Scott on the straight. But Enchilada has a 3-second penalty, but Jacko and JB seem to be catching him. The DRS swapping is working perfectly. Ench has dropped off for pace a little bit. And if JB can catch another couple of seconds to the McLaren, he could be on for a podium here after all is said and done. And, well, at the moment he sits 10 points behind Enchilada. He's in 2nd in the championship. So it's actually rather important if he does manage to snatch that 3rd place from the McLaren driver. And, well, the Irishman is going to see that, and he's going to be a little worried by that gap starting to come down. Because JB, he could manage to get a very nice 2 points on Enchilada. if he can snatch that P3. So he could be 8 points behind as opposed to 12. Which is how it would be if this race ended like this. And look at this, yeah, 3.7 to Enchilada. So it's coming down now 4.5 seconds between the McLaren and the VCARB. And the top two in the championship, they haven't been together on track really for the entire race. But their paths have crossed right towards the end of this one. And the pressure is on now for Enchilada to halt this advance from his closest championship rival. As talking of rivals, Robsu and Aces battling it out still for P6. Although Aces with only 3 seconds of penalties to Robsu's 6. As long as he sticks with the Finn, should be able to secure that 6th place. The only 2 battles happening on track at the moment. Denko does set the fastest lap, so he secures an extra point for himself and for Mercedes. But with a few bad results in a row now, Denko is slipping slowly away from the driver's title battle. He'll still be in it after this race, but he's going to need a brilliant, amazing set of results in the last 3 rounds to have a chance of lifting that trophy. Welcome to Harris in the chat. Just in time to catch the last 7 laps. Indeed you are. You're just in time for some championship implications here. JB, oh, well, first we flip to Robsu as he gets past Aces, and Aces goes straight into the back of him. And that is damage to the Alpine as well. Aces, he's been going deep into corners all race long, and well, that one was no different. He could well lose out in P6 here as a result of that. He's into the back of Robsu again, just braking too late with the wing damage. Is that more damage? It is more damage to the Alpine. He's now surely got a red front ring, I would say, and well, he's going to lose a ton of time to that VCARB now. So I don't think he's... Oh, yeah, he's going to have to even come into the pits. I think he's got too much damage. And Aces, mate, where's your bottle? Where is your bottle from 2 seasons ago? It's just not happening for him at the moment. Lawrence, meanwhile, getting past Cavalis for P11. But as I was saying, championship implications at the moment in this race, because JB needs to get within 3 seconds of Enchilada Dad if he wants to take 2 points out of the championship leader this race. He is P2 in the standings, like I said, with just 10 points behind the McLaren driver. But if he can get within those 3 seconds and snatch that podium from the Irishman, he will be able to get within single-digit numbers of points of the championship leader, and Xtrek will catch up even more as well in his Mercedes after winning this one. Largely thanks to Sumo, but of course he has also been imperious in this race. You can't take anything away from him. Drogon gets past Scott in the meantime, but the Alpine driver, he has extremely worn tyres, 28 lap old hards. He is going to the end on those. So very, very brave from Scott to do that after a very early stop. And, well, I don't think he's going to be able to stick with Drogon. He might be able to stay within 6 seconds, though. I think he's capable of that. So he might still be able to secure 8th place in this one. But I think any more than that is going to be a little bit of a stretch. Primeval and Robsu just a little bit too far ahead at the moment. And Aces, I don't think he's going to catch 12 seconds in 5 laps or so. He might be able to catch 7.5 though. I think that's definitely possible. So he still could salvage 8th place out of this one. And he will get the fastest lap, you have to imagine, on the soft tyres too. So that is going to be an extra point for him as well. Snatching it off of Denko, who currently holds the fastest lap. And he's only a second behind Tier, by the way. Look at this. Denko could be on to gain another position in this race. It has been a race to forget for the Mercedes driver for sure. But, you know, when there's a driver just ahead of you and another point on offer, he's got to try and take it. And that's Drogon round. Drogon in the Haas. He's had a great race so far, actually, but he's gone round. It looked like there might have been contact with Scott, but I'm not sure. He is down 7 seconds behind him now, and that's definitely going to put paid to his 9th place, because Aces is not too far behind. Lawrence is catching too, but I think he's a little too far back. So Aces should be able to get 9th place, and Drogon will fall to 10th. But he's had a good race today, has Drogon. He's been all right. He has binned it as well in the S's twice, lest we forget. So, you know, he's done well to recover. And still secure what looks like a top 10 finish. But look what has happened here. JB, while we were concentrating on the mid-grid, is now less than 2 seconds behind the championship leader. He is where he needs to be. So to take 2 points away from Enchiladadad in the championship with just 3 rounds to go. As it stands, JB would just be 8 points behind. He's never won a Tier 2 title. Neither has Enchiladadad, but JB's been here an awful lot longer. Since Season 2, I believe, JB has been here all the way to Season 14. And he could be looking at his first ever title this season if he can keep these results up. He's doing what he needs to do this season. Even in races where he is not up there, he has managed to secure some results out of nothing, really, out of nowhere. Where it looked like he was down, he was certainly not out. And today is going to be another one of those. He didn't quite manage to get the win in Bahrain. That would have been a huge help if he had done that earlier this season, but he did lose that to Extrac. But he's still been fantastic this season. This is by far the best form JB has ever been in his APP career. And, well, a little bit of a mistake there out of turn 3. Maybe I should stop talking about him. Maybe I should stop praising him. But he's still, at the moment, just about 2 seconds behind Ench. He's doing what he needs to do. Aces, meanwhile, right behind Drogon. Cavalis getting past Lawrence. Oh, he's gone round again. Oh, Lawrence. Oh, no. The 2-time champ. He's gone round in the stadium section. He's lost his entire front wing. And that is going to be a pit stop for the soft tyres. He's going to have to try and go for fastest lap, but it's going to be quite a task to take it off Aces. Tears retired from the session. Did he bin it? Has he binned it? Oh no, he has! He's binned it! I think he's locked up trying to get into the pit lane and he's binned it. Oh no! Oh, Tear! Oh no, it was looking like he was going to at least salvage a few points from this race, but that will drop him to 16th and he will get nothing from this one. After all, oh, Tear, how have you managed that, mate? Oh no. He'll be laughing about it, I'm sure. He'll definitely be laughing about it. But that could have quite large implications on the constructors. At the moment, the V-Carbs looking at a P3 and 6 finish in this one, which wouldn't be bad at all. They get 14 plus 14 plus. Need to remember. 14 plus 10, I think. 12, 11, 10. Yeah, 14 plus 10. So they get 24 points from this one. So they would, as it stands, gain the most points of any of the top 3 teams, beating out Mercedes by just the 1, I think. Denko's going to get 4 from this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, Mercedes will get 24 as well. So actually they'll score equally to Mercedes. I think they will absolutely take that. I don't think they'll have any issues with that whatsoever. They have caught up to Enchilada, and Jacko is looking at a possible P4 here as well. They've actually caught right up to the back of the McLaren, and we're on to the final lap. So this is for position between Jacko and Ench. JB's just got to sit behind and hope. Just stay there, JB. Don't get involved. There's no need. Just let them duke it out and take the places from penalties afterwards. But Jacko does go down the inside of Ench into turn 4, and he gets the place. The Season 10 champion up to 3rd place on track. It's going to be 4th at the end after penalties. But Enchilada, from looking like a certain podium, he's down to 5th place in this race by the looks of things. Extract, meanwhile, coming through the final few corners. He has driven superbly today. It's back to last season's Extract here in Mexico. Extract wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Sumo will be very disappointed that he wasn't able to challenge him in the end, but oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my goodness me! What have I just witnessed? What have I just seen? Sumo! Oh my god! I mean, everyone else is coming across the line, but Sumo! He has binned it out the final corner! Oh my goodness me! Aces secures P6. He actually made a mistake in the last few laps. Oh yeah, of course, he had his wing damage, so he did drop too far back behind Robsu. So it's P5 for Robsu. What a day for VCarb in the end. JB gets second place out of nowhere. Sumo, what have you done? Oh my god. Oh my god. He's going to finish 11th thanks to all the people that were one lap down, but... Oh, Sumo. Oh, you... Sumo. Oh, my goodness. He is going to be reminded of this race for years. No one is going to let him forget that. Oh, Sumo. Oh, dear. Oh my goodness me. Wow. I mean, I'm in shock, but here are the final results. X-Trek wins the Mexican Grand Prix by quite a margin in the end. JB finishes in second place. What a result for him. He gains 4 points on the championship leader. He'll just be 6 points behind going into the last 3 rounds. Jackalaka on the podium as well. He continues his championship chances as well. He's right up there. Enchilada down in 4th in the end. Robsu in the top 5. What a day for VCarb. Aces manages to finish P6. I think that's his best result this season. So well deserved. Primeval in 7th. What a race from him as well. Wow. Scott Drogon and then a bunch of other drivers. But I'm sorry for not mentioning everyone. There was quite a few stories to cover there. But wow. I mean, Extract loving it because Sumo took him out. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. I do not know what to say. Well, I mean, Sumo will be very glad that there are... Apologies, everyone, for that. There won't be any interviews today because my controller decided that it doesn't want to have its audio port work anymore. So I can't plug my headset in, which means I won't be able to hear drivers properly in an interview. So unfortunately no interviews today. I will be hopefully getting a new controller by next week. So we should have interviews back by then, but unfortunately gotta skip them for today. But I mean, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Yeah, controller says no. But wow, I mean, what a race. It was chaos. Chaos for a large portion of the race. So much happening. And then it all quietened down towards the end. There were some really nice battles going on. And then Sumo bins it at the final corner from second place. He is never, ever going to live that down for his entire life. If he stays friends with us in this league, years and years down the line, he is going to get reminded of that, like in 20 years' time. He is never ever gonna live that down. I'm so sorry, Sumo. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, I mean, what can I say but to say thank you everyone ever so much for watching. We will be back next week for round number 8 of this 10-round season. And both championships extremely close still. It's still all to play for as we head to Singapore next week. What a race that's going to be. Probably going to be carnage. But no, I have faith in Tier 2. It won't be carnage. Canada had no reports whatsoever. I think we'll be fine. It will be great. It will be a great race. But what drama, says Denko in the chat. Absolutely. Coffee, I assume you're Avenir? Yeah. I hope you can pick up some more pace in the next few rounds. But, I mean, I say the championship's extremely close. That has taken Sumo right out the battle. He was already on the fringes of the championship battle, but now he is out of it, I think. He's not going to recover from that points-wise in the last 3 rounds. But, wow. Wow. We'll be back for Singapore next week. Do not miss it. 3 rounds to go in this thrilling season. And I'm gonna get a drink. Thank you all so much. Have a lovely rest of your week. I'll see you all next week for more APPF1. Goodbye.